caught you. Can't take an old soldier by surprise.
Morning, Major Crumb.
It is, if you don't mind enemy invasions.
I beg your pardon.
Didn't you get my message? Received intelligence of a major air assault. Expect the sirens to sound any minute. Hope you know where your nearest air raid shelter is.
I do recall something about that, but Major Crumb, are you sure you're not mistaken?
I know, I've made predictions before, but I'm not crying wolf. This time, I've got proof.
A jar?
It's what's inside the jar that counts. Incontrovertible evidence that the enemy is on the move.
Does it? I can only see a snail.
Of course it's a snail. But what's she trying to tell us? That's the important thing.
What is she trying to tell us?
Look at her, man. She's retreated into her shell in the middle of the day. And that means only one thing. It means she knows trouble is about to strike from the heavens. Law of nature, Wallace. Learned it in France during the war. Never wrong yet. Good man, Wallace. I see you at least appreciate the seriousness of the situation. Now, spread the word. If people don't believe what an old soldier has to say, perhaps they'll listen to the snail.
You've come buzzing back, Mr. Wallace. As a bee to a blossom, eh?
I realise this may seem a trifle irregular, but Major Crumb insisted I show you this. It's...
A snail? In my garden? Mind, Wallace?
I'm not sure, to be honest. I wonder where Major Crumb disappeared to.
Wallace! Thank heavens you made it to the shelter! I'd given you up for lost! Caught in the crossfire, were you? You're looking at my case, aren't you, Wallace?
Well, I suppose I was, Major.
Bet you'd like to know what's inside.
I am curious, yes.
This case is packed full of government-issue protein bars.
Protein?
Rations, Wallace. Emergency rations for... emergencies, obviously. Been stockpiling them since the war. Enough nutrition in them to feed a man under fire for a whole day.
And very tasty they look, too.
Tasty? They're foul, but packed with high-strength protein.
I'd love to try one.
Out of the question, I'm afraid. You don't have clearance. And besides, protein bars are only issued in the event of civil emergencies. Orders are orders, Wallace. By George, this is an emergency. Private Gromit! I hereby issue you one protein bar. Guard it well, and see that it lasts you all day. Wallace, here's one for you as well.
Much obliged. My workers are very devoted to their queen. I found these in the hall, Major Crum.
Dog tags! I've been recommissioned. Bound to happen, of course. Can't leave good military material sitting on the shelf. My place is in the trenches. You've got to get your mind off the carnage up there. Would you like to hear one of my old war stories? I'd help pass the time.
Well, I hate to...
Of course you would. I brought visual aids. I can still see it perfectly after all these years. It was toward the end of the war. There I was, marching with my regiment across those
I thought you might find this useful, Major Crum.
A helmet! By George, Wallace, there's nothing like a good helmet. Makes a fellow want to put himself in the path of projectiles. If you know what I mean.
Sounds like you were quite a soldier, Major Crum.
Well, Wallace, why the past tense?
Oh dear.
Once a soldier, always a soldier. Something you civilians will never grasp. And I'd be happy to prove it by charging into the fray. That is, if I had a set of dog tags and a regulation helmet, which I have. By thunder, I'm a soldier again. Sir George is ready for his dragon. And yet, duty compels me to remain here. No one else to guard the grotine bars. Confounded sense of duty.
Gromit could do the job.
Private Gromit? Can I entrust my precious cache of grotine bars to a Pongo? Perhaps so. He's proven himself a trusty foot soldier. Yes. If I am called away to the front, I'd feel comfortable leaving Private Gromit in charge. Good heavens! I shouldn't be skulking around in a cellar like a frightened rat. I'm a soldier, by thunder! Private Gromit, I hereby appoint you officer commanding this air raid shelter. Here, you pass out the rations. I've got a war to win. Charge!
A nice cup of strontium tea ought to spark up the old grey matter. Hey, bring that back, you thieving rascal! Hold on a minute. Strontium. That's one of the ingredients in Rex Armstrong's Quick Grow Muscle formula. I need that tea bag. Cold toast. Shame to let it go to waste. Here you are, little fella. Try some toast.
Yes, do feed him. I'm sure the little mite's hungry. What are you looking for exactly? You're persistent in your attentions this morning, Mr. Wallace.
Ah, Mr. Wallace! Mr. Wallace, I've got something for you.
Much obliged. That looks like... Can it really be cheese?
Indeed it is, Wallace. Wensleydale, your favourite?
And am I to take it that these are...
Yes, free samples. Go on, tuck in and
don't mind if I do, Mr. Paneer. One for now, and one for later.
Don't forget, Mr. Wallace, 50 gallons by sunset.
Hey up, Wallace, love. How's business?
I noticed you received my petition for early release of the Sniffer 3000, Constable Dibbins.
Yes, and I notice it's attracted the signatures of just one man and his dog.
We're only appealing for natural justice.
But your blinking cheese detector thingamy, what do you call it, destroyed an entire grocery store.
Teething problems. It's still only a prototype.
A prototype? It's a villain, if you ask me. A diabolical device. You can see that in its face.
My machine isn't evil, Constable Dibbins. It's just got a short fuse and a few loose nuts.
We'll see. I'm going to formally interview this glorified tin can of yours, and if it can convince me that it's not a menace to society, then perhaps I'll release it into your custody. You there, prisoner. Kindly look at me when I'm talking to you. If that's how he wants to play it, then he can stay in here until he rusts, for all I care. We've had our little chat.
And?
I'm afraid there's no talking to your sniffer. Hardwired for criminality, I'd say. Well, if it isn't Wallace. I had a notion he'd be nosing round the police station this morning.
Must be awfully hot under that helmet, I reckon. A sunny day like today.
It's a trifle sweltering, yes. But danger and discomfort are all in the line of duty for an officer of the law, though most folk don't appreciate it.
Can you see fit to grant my appeal, Constable Dibbins?
Not on your Nelly. That heap of nuts and bolts is now but trouble. Couldn't give me a single straight answer when I tried to interrogate it.
It only responds to certain commands. I know, I programmed it. Perhaps you could try a gentler approach?
I'll have another chat with it. More friendly-like.
Oh, yes. Much obliged, Constable Dibbins.
I ain't promising nothing, mind. Time we had a little chat. Look at me when I'm talking to you. That's more like it. Now you've had time to think, what can you tell me about what happened yesterday? Feel bad about what you did, do you? He's weeping. Maybe this contraption's got feelings after all. Now, I want a truthful answer. If I release you from custody, will you do it again? Well, I'll be damned. The prisoner has been interviewed.
Yes?
And having exhibited signs of repentance, I am prepared to release him into your protective custody, provided, Wallace, you give me an assurance that you'll keep your blinking eye on him. Or it. Or whatever he answers to.
Oh, I'll keep an eye on him, Constable Dibbins. You have my word on that.
So, Wallace, in the honey business now, I hear.
Oh, you've heard the buzz, have you?
Oh, indeed I have. It's all over town.
This'll never get off the ground. Stupid idea, if you ask me.
And nobody did.
Couldn't get honey out of a honey jar, that one.
Excuse my husband. He's a right misery gut sometimes.
Mr. Gabberley!
Gone away, went to Timbuktu. Won't be back until spring.
Could those be? I couldn't help but notice the flowers on your window ledge, Mrs. Gabberley.
Aye, lovely, aren't they? Bring a touch of summer to the town square. Especially the purple pansies. Always been partial to pansies, me. You should see the flat. It's full of them.
Blinking weeds, if you ask me. Can't abide them.
Oh, go and suck a lemon, you moaning ninny. Oh, now look what you've done, you clumsy oaf. And open up that window when I'm yelling at you.
All right, but only to prove your insults don't get to me anymore. I can deflect them all.
Is that so?
Pardon me, Mrs. Gabberley. I wonder, that is, could you spare a...
Verb.
Sorry?
Give me a verb, Wallace. An action word.
Oh, playing a word game, are we?
In a manner of speaking.
Oh, well, let's see. A verb. Savage can be a verb.
Ooh, I like that. That's a good one. Now I need a thing.
A thing?
Aye, you know, something physical you could touch.
Something I can touch. Turkey?
Why not? Now a descriptive word, if you please.
Mild?
Oh, that's a corker, that is. Last one, nearly done. I need another thing. Or like a person or animal.
A person or animal? Now, let me see now. Gentleman?
Yes, that's a thing. Hey!
What is it now?
Go savage! A turkey, you mild gentleman!
Hey! You do know how to wound a bloke, Winnie.
Got him that time. Serves him right for being such a grumpy old grandad.
Would you mind, if I, that is, could you see your way fit to lending me that pot of pansies, Mrs. Gabberley, for business purposes?
Business purposes? Well, be my guest. I've got bunches of them.
Miss Flint, if you'll just take a look at the pansies, I think you'll...
I told you, Mr. Wallace. I refuse to let those yellow hooligans have the satisfaction of... Oh, purple. You see? They're mending their ways. They just needed a firm talking to, that's all. Mother forgives you, you naughty little pansies. Sweet satisfaction, Mr. Wallace.
Yes, indeed. Very sweet. One generous chunk of protein to give it texture. One unit of energized fluid for a creamy finish. One dose of strongium into the mix. Now to mix up my very own quick grow muscle formula. That ought to do it. No, the mixomatic's all mixed up. Stop! Stop! Help! Gromit! Oh, thanks, lad.
Checking to see if anything's sprouted yet, Mr. Wallace?
Well, as a matter of fact, Miss Flit,
Really? I don't see what you're hoping to... Oh! I don't believe
it
it!
works! It works! The homemade quick grow miracle muscle formula works! We're in business, lad. You see, Gromit, look where a bit of enterprise can get you. If I hadn't found that flyer you chucked in the bin, I'd never have been able to concoct my miracle grow formula. And then where would we be? You really must be careful what you chuck out, you know? Blinking Nora!
Oh, my word! I think I'm going to faint.
This ought to be plenty of fuel for the old pollinator.
That's champion, that is. 50 gallons of honey and just in time for my annual tea and crumpet festival. Pleasure doing business with you, Wallace.
Always aim to please our bees.